So we just compiled this 2024 buyer survey report, and there is some eye-opening data that we are going to share. And I am going to have Chris Schaefer, who is the data guy. He is going to go through and distill it all down in record time. So, Chris, on the count of three, I want you to go. 3, 2, 1, go.
So, Scott, we looked at 3 different areas inside of the Etsy buyer survey. We went out to buyers on Etsy, surveyed several hundred of them, and said, okay, who are you? Like, what do you look like demographically? How often do you buy, right? So who are you? Then we said, what makes you buy things, right? Looking at a listing, what will help you make a purchase decision? And then how important is a shop? Does anybody actually look at that, right? How important is knowing that you can go back to the same place again and again to get something that you're looking for? Those were the 3 areas that we looked at. So what do buyers look like? Not really a huge surprise here. 81% female, 18% male, 1% non-binary or other. One important thing here, Scott, is that male buyer percentage increased 7% since last year. So it is becoming a much more even playing field in terms of the different people who are buying things. This could be a side effect of something like Etsy's gift mode. That's something we'll have to wait and see. But if you are selling a more male-centric product, Etsy is becoming a place you're going to want to look at more and more. The average Etsy buyer here, we're seeing 63% said they make between 1 and 5 purchases, 23% make 6 and 10, 14% are buying basically once a month or more, which is something we need to keep an eye on. The average person, if we averaged all of the purchases they were making together, made 5 purchases in the last 12 months on Etsy. Now, I know that's probably higher than what a lot of you people are seeing. And that just tells me that we got the people who are buying the most, which is even more important when we start to look at the other data. What about AI? This is a question we've been getting all the time. Do Etsy buyers care about AI? The answer is, it depends on the product, right? Vast majority of people said sometimes it'll affect my choice, sometimes it won't. 36% said that it won't ever influence my purchase decision. I don't care. I just want the coolest thing. When we look at how much of an impact it has, they rated it a 6.4 out of 10. So when it does have an impact on somebody's purchase, it is something they're going to consider, and it can be the tipping point. Now, the thing that's really interesting here, Scott, is for the people who cared the most, that 12% who said it always influences my purchase decision, that is going to matter the most, right? That was almost 2 full points higher than it was on average. With that in mind, if it's not AI that's making the purchase decision for everybody, what makes people buy? What actually influences the purchase decision? And we looked at 6 different areas. I know I just held up a 4, but there is 6. I just gave 7. That's 6. I know how to count with my fingers. Titles, media, description, reviews, shipping, and price. Basically every area of the listing that sellers have control over. Looked at the importance and how much of an influence it has on their purchase decision. 62% of people said that they always read product titles. 36% said that sometimes they read titles. So obviously it's something they're looking at. You and I kind of know this intuitively. It's something that people see along with the image and the price before they even get into the listing. So are they reading it for detail? We don't know. But it is important to have an easy to understand title for the purchase decision. They rated this as a 7.35. Not only is that higher than the influence of AI, right? But it is something we need to keep in mind because it's the first thing that people see. And the other thing I wanted to point out here, Scott, is the way that this is phrased. Easy to understand. So we can't just keyword stuff titles to try to rank higher. It has to be something that is understandable to the average buyer. But that 7.35 is cool. How does that stack up against the entire rest of the listing? That's what we wanted to know. So the next question we said is, okay, images, right? We all know you have to have that main thumbnail image, but do buyers look at multiple listing photos before they make a purchase decision? 97% of buyers said yes. I don't know about you, but 97% sounds like pretty much everybody that is making a purchase is looking at more than one image on your listing, making sure that we fill those out. How important is it? 9.1 out of 10. Having photos that accurately depict our product, that show different angles, show different use cases, was hands down, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, the most important thing in terms of all of the things that we as buyers and sellers look at on Etsy. So if you're selling anything on Etsy, spend that extra time getting those listing images together. Scott, what about videos? Everybody hates on videos a little bit. We talk about how they bring in more traffic, but does it make an impact? Only a 5.3. So one of the lower things in terms of the conversion rate factor, how important it is to people. But that is 20% higher than it was last year. So they're becoming more and more important. If we have those multiple listing photos, we have everything else to optimize. Take the time to create those videos. If we want to bring in some more traffic, take the time to create those videos. It's not going to be the thing that makes or breaks the conversion for our customer, but it is going to bring in more people. If we have more eyeballs, then we have more opportunity for sales, and we're ahead of the curve. Because if we see this came up 20% this year, I would expect to see this continue to become more and more important as Etsy places more and more emphasis on those videos. Product descriptions. Everybody hates on product descriptions because you have to open them up. Nobody thinks that anybody reads them. Turns out it's exactly the opposite, right? 67% of people said they always read product descriptions, at least look at them, right? 32% said it depends on the product. If I have what I need, then maybe I don't have to look. And 1% said that they never do it. How important is an easy to understand product description? It clearly describes the product. It tells them what they're going to get, tells them what it's made out of, follows a good formula so that people know what they're going to get. 8.6. So more important than the title, not quite as important as the photos, but coming real close, is having an easy to understand product description. Customer reviews. Do customers look at reviews? Do they matter? 56% of people said they always read it. 43% of people said that they sometimes read those reviews, Scott. And when they're looking at those reviews, how important are they? A 7.5 out of 10. So again, more important than going in and tweaking your title and making sure that that's perfect is having customer reviews. And what we heard from not just our live audience, but also from some of the people who took the survey was that what they're looking at here is not just that it's 5 stars, right? It's not the star quantity that matters. It's the quality of the reviews. So does it look like a fake review? They're going to discount that. They're not going to look at that as much. Is it a good response to a terrible customer? That counts as a win in your favor. So it's not about the quantity of those reviews. It's not about the quantity of the stars. It's about the quality of those reviews. And that's what has the most impact on those purchase decisions. Question you and I get all the time. Will people buy product if they have to pay for shipping? Do I have to give free shipping even if it means I'm losing my shirt? Turns out, no. 85% of people said that they're still willing to pay for shipping if it's a reasonable cost, right? We don't want to surprise people with a $400 extra shipping cost, but charging a few dollars here and there for shipping on things that we need to do, that's totally okay. Thinking about shipping, thinking about the overall listing price, right? The all-in price, the checkout price, not what's shown on that page, that $1 onesie that no one actually buys, but the all-in price, product plus shipping. How important is that to your purchase decision? 86% of people, Scott, said this is only one thing that I consider. So if we're getting everything else right, price is not nearly as sensitive as most people think that it is, right? Everybody thinks that the vast majority of people think that price is the most important thing. And if they're not the lowest price, they're not going to make a sale. Turns out it's not accurate, right? We don't have to play the price game. We need to be focused on creating good quality products, good quality listings, and then price becomes less important. The last area that we wanted to look at was the shops. Do shops matter? Should we spend any time trying to figure out and organize our shop, filling it out? Or do all buyers just come from search? And it turns out that the about the seller section, not super important. Some people will go over there and look at it. 63% said they'll sometimes read it. 9.8% said that they'll always read it. 26%, big number of people said they never read it. And I think that's partially because most people don't even know that it's there. But is it still worth filling out and filling out the rest of your shop? The answer is yeah, because people are extremely likely, once they've purchased from you, to visit your shop page to see the other products that you have to offer. 7.62 out of 10. Again, this is more important, having a shop page that will show them other things they might be interested in, more important in future purchases than even your title would be when it comes to looking at the things we have control over. How likely are they to buy from a shop they've bought from previously? 8.1 out of 10. So the vast majority of people said, I would love to start here if I could avoid going to the Etsy search results, if I didn't have to look at gift mode, if I know that you're going to have something that I'm interested in, I'm going to start with you rather than going to Etsy search or looking at anywhere else before I come to your shop. So they're very likely to come back. And again, thinking back to the beginning of this, if they're averaging 5 purchases and we have a few other things to sell them, there's a good chance we're going to get another 2, 3, 4, or even all 5 of those purchases. So Scott, what does this all mean for sellers? What should we be looking at as we get into Q4? What do we need to pay attention to if we want to sell more? I boiled this down to 4 lessons for us. The first is media and descriptions matter, right? Stop focusing on SEOing your title. Stop worrying about that so much. Get your keywords in there. Make sure it's human readable. Spend that extra time on your photos and your product description. Even if you don't think people are reading it because they didn't pick up on that one little detail you put in there, it's still extremely important for the conversion rate. Spend extra time, focus on the follow-up. If you can get reviews from customers and you can create a good customer experience by communicating with the people who are already buying from you, it will lead to more sales. Period. End of story. We know people are buying multiple times. We know that the people who buy the most care the most, and we know that they're coming back to look from the people that they've bought from in the past. If we have things to offer them, we can create a good experience. It will lead to more sales. This one I know is going to be a little bit controversial, but you need to have a niche, right? You need to focus your shop. Why? If those people who all raised their hand and said, I'm coming back, I'm buying multiple times, and I want to start at the shop level, I want to start somebody I trust, and they can't find the things that they're looking for, where do they go? They go back to Etsy search, and you lose all of that benefit. If we're just listing random products, it's not organized in a way that anybody can understand. We lose out on all 4+ of those extra sales. And buyers can purchase often, right? 5 times on average, but a lot of people, 12%, were buying once a month or more. They like to buy from people that they know, they like, and they trust. And lastly, don't stress too much about price. Scott, you and I talk about this all the time. Business is about making money. If you can create a good product and sell it at a profit, even if that means you charge a little bit more, as long as you have your niche, you have your media and your description squared away, that's okay. The one caveat here is we don't want to be $900 when everybody else is $9. And I think anything that came in with price, whether it was the overall price or shipping, people said, as long as it's reasonable and I understand the reason for it, I'm willing to pay that little bit extra. So rather than pricing your mug at $12 because that's what everybody else is doing, if you need to price it at $15, that's okay. It's not going to cost you all of the sales. You're still going to get some of the sales. You lose 11% of people, right, who said, I'm only ever going to buy the lowest price thing. I don't care. Everything else comes down to your photos, your description, your title, and those reviews. And if we can focus on those areas, then not only will we sell more, but we'll sell more profitably.